D. Pricing of crude oil. Number 3. Where was oil first discovered in commercial quantities in Nigeria? A. LIBERIA, B. Warri, C. Onitsha, D. Port Harcourt. Number 4. Which of the following is not an objective of Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC? A. Stabilization of oil income, B. Coordination of petroleum policies, C. Allocation of production quota, D. Stagnation of developed economies. Number 5. The 5 countries that established the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries are A. Iraq, Iran, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela. B. Nigeria, Iran, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Angola. C. Nigeria, Iran, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela. D. Gambia, Iran, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela. Now let's try to answer them one after the other. The first question that says the headquarters of Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries is dash. The first answer is Vienna, which is option B in Australia. That is where the headquarters of OPEC is located. The second one that says which of the following is not done by the NNPC. The option A says production of crude oil, B says refining of crude oil, C said the exploration of crude oil, and D said the pricing of crude oil, which is the D, the right answer, which is pricing of crude oil is not part of the function of NNPC. And number 3 says where was oil first discovered in commercial quantities in Nigeria? Remember I said it's LIBERIA, which is option A. That is, number 3 is A. And number 4, which of the following is not an objective of Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries? The correct answer is D, which is stagnation of developed economy. That is not part of the objective of OPEC. And the last one, the 5 countries that established the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries are A, which is Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela. Those are that means the correct answer for question 5 is option A. International Economic Organization. This may be defined as the coming together of different countries with a common economic interest and goals, with a view to promoting economic cooperation and development among member states in order to protect and promote the economic and business interests of members and to stimulate the social economy and cultural development among their members. There are some international economic organizations that are presently common and familiar. One, we have International Monetary Fund, which refers to as IMF. 2, we have International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, which is also referred to as IBRD. Then we have African Development Bank, which refers to as ADB. Then we have Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, which refers to as OPEC. And we have United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, which refers to as UNCTAD. Now let's try to look at these organizations one after the other. The first one that says the International Monetary Fund. It was set up after the Second World War in order to encourage the development of foreign trade. It began operation in 1947 with headquarters in the United States of America. It was established as a result of proposal adopted at an international conference held at Bretton Woods in 1944. Presently, it has about 138 member countries. What are the objectives of International Monetary Fund? 1 is to establish and stabilize exchange rates among member nations. 2 is to make funds available to members to finance balance of payments deficits in their various countries. 3 to make recommendations to members concerning economic policy to be adopted that will make their economy to keep growing and sustaining very well. And 4 is to encourage the development of international trade among different countries, and also is to promote cooperation among member nations on financial matters, so that these nations will be able to interact very well on any issue relating to finances, such as if any of the countries are in need of the money and they need it dearly so much that it can help the country so much, then they can quickly approach the organization for help for in such situation, and also to facilitate settlement of debts in foreign transactions. These are some of the major objectives of the International Monetary Fund. Now let's look at International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. This IBRD can also, and popularly known as the World Bank. It was established in 1944 at the same time with the International Monetary Fund at Bretton Woods. Its headquarters is in Washington, United States of America. Its capital was subscribed by the members of the IMF, which is International Monetary Fund, on quota basis. Thus, membership was restricted to the International Monetary Fund members countries alone. It started with 45 members at the beginning, and as at 1992, the member has risen to 178 member nations. What are the objectives of the World Bank? 1 is for granting of long-term loan for infrastructural development by the member states, member nations, that they get loan from World Bank for infrastructural development of their country. 2, giving expert advice on development programs. Any countries, any nations having a development problem that they are facing in their country, they can get expert advice on how to go about it to overcome such problem from the World Bank. And 3, provision of experts to solve developmental problems. Just related to the second one is the same objective. And 4, provision of training of experts. They also train experts from different nations on how to tackle some developmental problems and some other financial crises in their various countries. And 5, undertaking feasibility studies related to economic development, on how can they still improve on solving the economic development problems in various countries. They also embark on such. Also, making available the experience of other countries. That is, any member countries that is having one problem or the other, they can quickly approach World Bank to check whether there are some other countries that have, in one way or the other, at one time or the other, experienced what they are now experiencing and how they go about it. Those experiences can also be gotten from the World Bank in order for them to learn and to know how to go about them. And also the last one is to develop the productive resources of member nations, to help the member nation develop their resources. So many countries have so many resources untapped, unexplored, but in one way or the other, World Bank can help those member nations to discover their resources that can help the country go on, that can help the country more productive, and help them on how to develop them so that the country will function very well. And the next one, which is Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, will be treated or has been treated as discussed as a topic on its own, especially in relation to Nigeria. And other economic organization that we have is what we call African Development Banks. It was established also in 1964 with its headquarters in Abidjan in Côte d'Ivoire. It is a bank owned by African countries which belong to the Organization of African Unity called OAU. Now it's now called African Union. The ADB was jointly set up by effort of the OAU and Economic Commission of Africa called ECA. It started full operation in 1966 with its initial members of 23 African countries, and as at 1970, membership has risen to 31. What are their own objectives? What are they doing? What are their targets? 1, provision of loan to help social and economic development of member nations. 2. Provision of technical assistance for development projects. 3. To foster economic integration among member nations, so that the member nation will be able to interact very well and relate well in economies. 4. Provision of funds for development of infrastructural facilities to member nations, so that the member nations will enjoy the provision of infrastructural facilities, which is very important to a nation. And 5. Provision of funds for agricultural development. As Africa is very well known for agricultural practices, therefore they also provide funds for development of agriculture in different member nation states. And the last one, which is UNCTAD, refers to as United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. That one was established in 1964 with its headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland. It was created as an organ of the United Nations by a resolution passed by the United Nations organization called UNO. This was in response to a call to the UNO by the developing nations to convene a meeting for the purpose of discussing their growing international trade problems and their poor level of development and the wide gap between the standard of living of the advanced and the underdeveloped countries. That was the reason for calling for for this organization, and the objectives of establishing this organization called UNCTAD, which is United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, is to, 1, to assist in solving the international trade problem of the underdeveloped countries. This one is majorly to help the underdeveloped countries, or the countries we refer to as developing countries. 2, to solve the increasing balance of payment difficulties of these developing countries, developing nations. They want to help them to solve their increasing balance of payment deficit that is rising frequently. Also, to help the increase in the pace of economic development of developing nations. That is, the rate at which the economic development is increasing is very, very low. And in order to help them rise in a very fast way is another objective of this organization called United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. These are some of the economic organizations that are so common in Africa and in the world. Let's now consider the following questions under this topic. 1. Another name for the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development is dash. A. International Monetary Fund, which is IMF. B. International Development Bank, which is IDB. C. World Bank. D. International Bank of Africa, which is IBA. Number 2. Where is the headquarters of African Development Bank located? A. In Lomé. B. Addis Ababa. C. Accra. D. Abidjan. Number 3. Which of the following is not an international economic organization? A. Economic Community for Africa. B. African Development Bank. C. World Health Organization. D. International Monetary Fund. Number 4. One of the functions of International Monetary Fund is to dash. A. Devalue the currency of member states. B. Reduce drastically the size of deficit financing of member states. C. Give financial assistance to member states. D. Discourage industrialization in underdeveloped countries. Number 5. The International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, which is IBRD, is important to developing nations because A. It gives aid for defense. B. It offers loan for public projects. C. It offers aid to finance private projects. D. It gives loan for legal proceedings. Let's now look at them one after the other. The first question that says another name for the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, IBRD, is dash, is World Bank, which is option C. That means number 1 is option C. Number 2, where is the headquarters of African Development Bank located? which is Abidjan in Abidjan, that is option D. That is the correct answer. Number 3, which of the following is not an international economic organization? A, Economic Commission for Africa, which is ECA. B, African Development Bank, which is ADB. C, World Health Organization, which is WHO. D, International Monetary Fund. The correct answer is C, which is World Health Organization. It's not part of the international economic organizations. Number 4, one of the functions of International Monetary Fund is to dash. A, to devalue the currency of member states. No. B, to reduce drastically the size of the deficit financing of member states. No. C, to give financial assistance to member states, which is the correct answer. That is one of the objectives, one of the functions of International Monetary Fund. And the last one, which is number 5, the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, which is RBRD, is important to developing nations because it gives aid for defense. No. B, it offers loan for public projects. Yes. C, it offers aid to finance private projects. No. And D, it gives loan for legal procedures. No. The major one and the correct one is B, which says it offers loans for public projects. That is one of the functions of the World Bank, called International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, called IBRD, and is the correct answer. That means number 5 as option B as the correct answer.